to our webinar today, our OnTrack. It is about the business profile, so thanks everyone for joining us. And I'm just looking to see who we've got with us. So Maggie from Albuquerque. I was just in Albuquerque not too long ago, Albuquerque, New Mexico, so thanks for joining us. And we have James from University of Connecticut, so welcome. And Kevin from up at Grays Lake up in Chicago land. So I was there in June. So nice to see everybody. And if you want to join in and say where you're from, and if I didn't catch you, you can go ahead and do that in the chat tab. So we have a chat tab, questions, and a poll tab. So we'll do a poll maybe a little bit later on. So we'll give folks a few minutes to get going. But thanks so much for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know why it turned into a desert. It just got updated, so then it's all desert. I'm like, I don't know why that is. So, not a big deal though. So, alrighty. We're going to go ahead and open up into our today's presentation. We have lots of things we're going to go through today. I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit. So welcome to today's webinar, which is going to be mostly about the GrowthWheel profile, business profile, and how we can use it. So we'll be together for about 60 minutes. So actually, before we get going, I'm going to give you some sneak peeks before, so you get some what's coming down the road. And let me go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to skip some things because some things have to do with the business profile. So I will show that later. But as we get going, and if you have any questions, just pop something into the little tab there and I will catch up with you. But I don't know if you saw that, I believe this was in September, our release was that you can now assign decisions and actions in the 30, 60, 90 days plan online. So that's the new thing here, as you'll see with this little red outline. You can actually say who should be assigned these different tasks or decisions. And so that's kind of a nice way to find the member. You can actually scroll down, you'll see the list that will pop up. And then when you print them as a PDF report, you will have that as well. So that came out in September. Our October release was videos having to do with our decision sheet. So every single decision sheet has a short, about 90-second video. And so that kind of helps either with you want to do that with the client right there in front of you, or if you want to just say, hey, watch the video in case you have any questions. But it's actually my voice, and I just do a little voiceover for all of them. So let's talk about some of the other releases that are coming up. Sneak peek. That's the fun part of being here. So we'll do a quick sneak peek on these. Now, some of these are going to have numbers, and the numbers don't matter because I cut some out because I added them into my presentation. So, anyways, I just want you to know that. So some of the things that we've got here are in terms of the interactions. This is getting expanded significantly. So some of the things I want to point out would be there's a focus area or meeting topic. That would match for those of you who do use the 641 form that the Small Business Administration requires us. So Kevin, who uses Neothera, or if you use Center IC, you have to have those drop down, what's the area. So you'll see in another screen we have those, but we have meeting notes here. So if you want more of a narrative, and we also have private notes. So this is where you can write down some private things like good things, like the client's is the son of a funder or a founder of our board, and so he's a VIP. Or it could be private things that aren't good, like a client was 25 minutes late for our meeting, or client smelled like alcohol. We work with the general public, right? So you can also add other advisors in, and you can add participants and also who you're referring it to. So extra information about that. There's that area where it's a little drop down for the focus area and whether it's a new case or a follow-up or a one-time. And then of course you're going to be able to print those interactions, so full report of all of those interactions that you've got there, including then who the participants were and any of the decisions and actions that were created at that point in time. So that's kind of nice. We're also going to be adding some more legal information here, so more that's going to be coming in terms of some corporate documentation and those. So that's going to be fun, and then more demographic information, including whether they're in an 8A or a hub zone or other things. So some of this may not be relevant to you depending on where you're located, because we are in 39 countries. So we do focus on and try and meet the needs for everyone in our international world. So some of the other things we've got are team member profiles. So a little bit more information there and user stats so we can add in. But also I like this part where it's responsibilities and professional skills and personal skills that we can add in. And then also any other file attachments. So maybe you want to put a resume in there. So that's really nice. And then we've got a little bit more information in the engagement, including adding other advising organizations, because we're doing that more and more. We were just doing that in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Was that in October? I think it was in October. So I was there. So so we can kind of pop that in terms of an engagement and what are the other organizations, and if you have any documents you want to drag into that, you can do that. So again, we've got those added in. Finally, also we're adding in business registration. So if you want to do that, that's part of it. Our analytics are getting a little bit more robust as well in terms of looking at specific clients. So we can take a look at some of the liabilities and equity and things like that, so we can add in more information about your client, your company profile for you as advisors. We also are updating our intake form. So client intake form. So this is, again, for those who work with the Small Business Administration in the United States. This is that 641 form that the government requires us to fill out. And you can see that it's going to be, they can fill it out all digitally. They can add their statistical information. They can also add business information, business logo, name of it, legal entity, things like that. And then we also have then, are you exporting? What kind of coaching or counseling are you looking for? And then they have to click that, yes, I request business counseling. So it basically is that same disclaimer, and you can actually see it talks about the Small Business Administration or an SBA resource partner. So that's going to be coming up. And so the organization, they can add that information into it, and it tells you, thanks, you're almost finished. And then when you finally get done, you've got a little PDF that you can actually print out and have those intake forms online. So it's nice. It's going to be really easy for our clients to go ahead and put all of that information in themselves. So that'll be really good. So you won't have to be doing that for those of you that still use the paper forms. So they can add team members and add all of that, female ownership, minority, percentage ownership, etc. And then client engagement information and all of that. So that's some of the newer things that are coming out. Another one would be adding a My Services tab. So as you all know, you have that My Toolbox, My Clients, My Network, and now this My Services. And each one of those other ones, My Toolbox, My Clients, My Network, are all a certain color. So this golden yellow is now the color for this My Services, and it's really about your entrepreneurship center services that you're offering. So here we have different programs. You can obviously click the plus green program button and add other training topics and what types of events you're doing. And here you can filter the programs by the instructor and print them as a PDF. If you add programs, so here's the title, what's the training topic, the language it's done in, what's the venue, description, program content, target audience, and you can upload an image that might be from the brochure or something like that. And then add more program information, so adding resource partners, sponsors of it, and then any attachment including the presentation or the brochure or course materials that you want to add. So there's also going to be a calendar, so upcoming events. So we've got the calendar, those are the upcoming, and here we have the history, so the historical events that we've had and how many participants we had. And then this one is where we add the new event on board. So you can print reports on past trainings and get all the information in one place, and have instructor profiles even. So makes profiles for all the instructors in your course, and then you can schedule events in your course, see all of the upcoming events. It's real easy to schedule an event, just pick the date, and then training participants can sign up. So that's going to be coming down the road. And then finally, some analytics for your center in terms of how many training programs you're doing per month or per quarter, types of events, and top 10 instructors for a year, for example. And again, you get stats on all of this events by type and print them in nice looking PDFs and get a list of all your programs. All right, I'm going to skip this next section because I'm going to cover it later on. And another option you're going to have is customizing reports. So among the filters we want to add to the analytics, we want to add filter by period. So right now it just has all your clients, but there's no quarter. So you can select any period you want to see in the report. So you can see the end of the year. So you can see a whole year. You can do 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. You could do 4 years. So you can choose any period and then download it as a PDF. So that's where that little red box is around that, showing that you can pick your quarters. So there's you downloading it as a PDF of what it looks like. And then also progress that you've had for a client within a specific period. So again, you've got that little red box shows around the quarters that we can pick up as well. So those things are coming. I'm skipping another little area because I'm going to show it to you a little bit later. And then some other ways that we can look at your client portfolio. So lifetime and added by quarter, see the trends and patterns. So here, we're looking at client additions in the last 5 quarters. So all clients, women-owned businesses, youth businesses. And again, I know not everyone tracks youth businesses, but we do that because we are an international company, and so some of our clients from different areas of the world want that. So here again, you can see we've got client by portfolio per lifetime. So how long has our client company been around? We are going to have better looking email reports to our clients. So getting that monthly report of what the client has completed. So that's going to say, as you can see in this one, it says you still have 5 more days to complete more decisions and actions. So it's got a bit of that gamification. It's a little bit sticky where it's like, hey, you know, this is what you did in June and July and these months, and so what can you get done now? So that's sort of a fun thing to see. And you can actually co-brand these then with your own organizations. Let's see if what else we've got. I'm going to do that. For those who are managers at the management level, so when I was the director of a small business development center, I didn't have access to this, but Mark Petrilli, who was my state director, did. So, but this would be for that kind of level where you can see all of the advisors in your organization. So you can actually customize the fields you want for your team. But I like this. For those clients now, it's going to be easier, especially from a management level, just to assign advisors to your client portfolio. So you can have an overview of who's actually in there, and then assigning those advisors to that. Another thing that's coming out is favorite clients. You know you have them. You know you've got them. So who are your favorite clients? So just like you can create a star and tag those favorite decision sheets, and actually you can do all kinds of things. So even your own uploaded tools, the decision sheets, the articles, the frameworks, but even let's see, like the OnTrack webinar, the test drives that we did during the class. So any of those things, you can actually star those if you want to. So you can actually mark with a star your favorite clients as well. And your clients are going to have a little bit more full in terms of their member profile. So they will be able to, again, add this information in about them, their new people that are working with their organization. Another one that we're going to be doing is email templates. So more efficient ways to email. So what we want to do here is make it easier for you to write to your clients. If, for example, you write the same email to new clients over and over again, why write it over and over again? It'd be better to save it as a template, and then you can just pull it up when you're about to write emails to your new clients. So in this mock-up, you can see the template from a drop-down list. So that's going to be coming. So if you know that every time you meet with clients, you're always going over about financials or whatever it might be, you can pull that up. Then we also have, again, from the organizational, a new client list view. And so we're going to be cleaning that up in terms of the clients and looking at it from interactions views and others. So those are some of the new things that are going to be coming out. And so I wanted to just make sure that everyone can know. Wrong screen. All right, so everyone can still see that. So see if there's any questions or anything. I still haven't lost anyone yet, I hope. It's cool. All right, all good. That's what we're looking for, all good. All right, so with that then, get this kind of centered back. And we will go ahead and get into the main topic of today's webinar then. And let me kind of minimize this guy and get this one back up and going. Okay. So we're going to be talking about the GrowthWheel Business Profile. So again, it's not 60 minutes at this point because we've been chatting for about 20. So let's talk about it. We're going to be talking about some of the challenges and how we can help our clients. And we're going to go into the GrowthWheel Business Profile. We'll also go online. So I'll pull it up online. If you have any questions, we can do that as well. And then planning the process. So how can we really support our clients through the whole process? And then a bit more sneak peeks. So I showed you some. These are just going to be about the business profile. So if you ever have any questions, you can always pop something into either the question or the chat tab. So just let me know how that's going at any point in time. So let's talk about some of the challenges we have to help get our clients ready. So, our clients have to write these business plans, or the lenders require them anyway. So what are the problems with it? Well, some of the problems we've noticed with this is that for a lot of our clients, what they write is pure fiction. They're pulling it out of a particular body part, and they're just kind of making like, I would love it if this would happen. And then they act like that's their plan. It tends to be more short-term than long-term. It tends to be more the macro than the micro level. And it tends to be more strategic than actually operational. So they just kind of write what they wish or hope that will happen, but they really don't know. The other problem is that it can be quite a distraction. So they're focused on writing this thing, planning, rather than actually taking action and doing things to actually grow the business. It can create this analysis paralysis, and they spend so much time writing this that they're not actually working on the business. And it's honestly, I think you all would agree, it can be really time consuming for people who aren't very good writers. So if they're not skilled at that can be really difficult. Business plans can be great for corporations, but I'm not sure how great it is for our startups. And the third problem is they're very static, right? So I've had clients where they wrote the plan, they got the funding, and I'm asking them in a session, so are you hitting the milestones you put in your business plan? And they're like, I don't know. I got the money, I put that on a shelf. I haven't looked at it again. So it's not updated, and it's not used in their day-to-day decision making. It's not helping them. So that's some of the challenges I see. But I think another one, and I think you guys would all agree with this, is that they just don't know where to start. So sometimes you just need to get started with something, but it can be so overwhelming that they don't even know where to begin. So what is a great way to start with them is just using the business profile. So let's just look at a little bit at the business profile that we have in GrowthWheel. So it's all the information you need for the client, and you can download it in PDF. You'll notice that in GrowthWheel, everything that you can download is always going to be landscape form. And why is that? Well, because this makes a great pitch deck. So if you've got clients that are going to be going in front of lenders or in front of investors, or if you're working in a business incubator and they need to have something for your board or other people, this is a really great way to have this really nice pitch deck that is nicely formatted with all the information about the client and their products and who their customers are. So we do have just a basic cover page with the company logo, their contact information. We have pages that have the company's vision, their purpose, plans for the future, scalability, path to growth, lots of different options there. We have a page or two about their products, services, whether it's a product line or a service line. So it's asking about who's the typical buyer, what's the value for them, what's the pricing, and what's the revenue in terms of the revenue as a share of your total revenue. And if they don't know, you can leave that blank. They don't have to put that information in. We also have information about the market or customer segment. Is that our target market, or are there other options we want to put in there? Maybe it's a geographic market that we want to look at. And again, we can put in who our customers are and the market share. And then we have information about our competitors or other market players, whether they're rivals or non-rivals, other organizations, and what are their strengths and weaknesses that we've acknowledged. We have a page with our team members, and we're going to talk about the team members and how you can put bios in, and that's something also that's going to be getting expanded upon. And then we also have a page for our board members. So if a client has a board, they can add those specifically. And then we have, this came out in August. So all of our professional service providers. So all of our partners, our suppliers. So who's actually providing the raw materials for our goods? Who are our channel partners? In this example, it shows an office location. So it could be the business incubator you work at, could be the channel partner in that example. So there's got lots of different options there, and there's an awesome IT example as well. So I saw one where the client put in Apple was their partner because they were on a Mac. So I thought that was funny. I was like, yeah, good for you. So we've got that. And then we've got corporate documents, so more legal information, intellectual property documents. We could put in employee information like an employee handbook or contracts, things like that. Would be options. And then we have the financials, which the financials include the revenue, last 5 quarters and last 3 years. It also includes export revenue. If they don't have export revenue, you can delete that, but otherwise it's in there. And then we have also profit, so gross, operating, and net profit. And then and one thing I want to comment about this and the revenue. I'm going to go back to revenue, and we'll talk about this. When your clients invite other team members onto GrowthWheel Online, those other team members can see this information. Now you'll notice it's just big numbers. It's not getting down into nitty gritty. So it's just revenue, and it's by quarter. So, and here we've got the gross profit, operating profit, and net profit. We're going to go into and look at some of the other financials, but even the other financials, when it gets broken down more, it's not like it's going to say this is Jane's salary line. It doesn't get down to that level. But I was coaching someone, a business advisor, and they said, my client invited someone and now they don't want them to see those financials. And it's like, well, then we need to remove them, because there's no way for your clients to have sort of a private conversation. You can't hide parts of it. So once you've invited them onto GrowthWheel Online, even though they're not the main contact, they can see everything on GrowthWheel Online. And then finally, right now in the business profile, as it currently stands, we have the employee count. So full-time, part-time, temporary, and seasonal. So it's got all of that information. And to me, it's all about the client putting this in. I really want the client to put this information in, not me. Just like you wouldn't want to write the business plan for your client, I don't want to write the business profile for my client either. I want them to take responsibility for that. And I'll show you what that looks like from the client side as well. So when you open up your client, it automatically takes you to the business profile anyway in this contact page, which you can see the red highlight around that sub menu. So that's where it takes you to your client anyway. Then from there, they can tab over to the business. And this is where you can add those business descriptions, the vision for the future, and the values. So when you click on Add Business Description, you'll see a drop down that looks like this. So you have those different options. You don't have to use all of them. If the client doesn't want to, that's okay. So again, I want the client to be filling this out, and then as the advisor, I want to go in and edit and have a conversation, because I will tell you, I really like this profile, and I think it's easy for our clients to put this information in. You know, if you've got one of those loquacious clients that wants to write War and Peace, they may have some challenges. But just tell them it's like concise. Make it concise. No one's going to read War and Peace anyway. So have it be something that people will actually read. It's visually appealing, and they can just go through those. So that's one thing I would definitely look into, is making sure that they understand that they don't have all that space. But a problem you may still have is you're going to read through these, and just like in a regular business plan, because really this is sort of like a third of the business plan, right? This is sort of the profile of like what's going on in the company right now. You're still going to go through this and say, okay, that's, you know, pretty weak beer there, right? This is like fluff, 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 fluff. Okay, great. You know, let's get some meat on these bones. Okay, so put something together here. And so you're still gonna have to do that coaching with the client. I don't want you to think that you can just be like, oh yeah, it looks great, and they're gonna get it all done. They won't. So just like they in any other exercise or homework that you might give the client, you're still gonna have to say, okay, you know, we need to get some more information here and kind of give more detail. Okay, so products and services. If you want to add products and services, this is what it looks like. Again, you can add the product if there's a product ID. What is the description, typical buyer, and value for the customers? Now we've got our market or customer segment. Again, we've got lots of options in that drop down. So is it a primary client? It could be a geographic client. It could be an end user. It could be a buyer. So you've got lots of options there. Top 5 customers. That's a little more tough if you've got a business to consumer kind of business. And you say, okay, young males. I'm picking that just because of that picture. So it's like if young males are your, you know, client's demographic, your customer segment, you're not going to be able to, you know, Joe, Bob. That's not going to work so well. So we do want them to kind of see that that this works maybe a little bit better for the business to consumer, a business to business rather there. They can add the market share either by revenue or by number of customers. It's okay to guess. It's all right. They're just trying to, and they can go in and change that anytime they want to. So we also want to add who are our competitors or other market players. Are they rival competitors and their strengths and weaknesses? We can add information on the team. So this is the place, you'll notice that under Peter's name on that screen, there's that green invite button just to the right. So that's where they can invite them. So your business, your client, the owner or the manager may want to go ahead and add people in and not invite them, because they can add those bios and they can show to the lender or the investor, hey, here's my team and here's everybody's responsibilities and here's what they're doing. And all you have to do is put in their name, first and last name. And when you click add member, it'll bring you to an email. And if you don't want to add them, don't put their email in at the bottom, click skip. It's not a big deal. But you can still show then the lender or whoever else, you know, who's on your team and what they're doing for you. This is also under add advisor and mentor. This is where you can add and subtract those individuals that you want to add into, so everybody can work with those clients at the same time. The partner page. So you can see this professional service provider at the top, then supplier service provider. And what you can't see as you scroll down is it'll be channel and then finally IT. So you can add the duration of the partnership there. So if you want to add insurance company or an attorney, a printer, any sort of component supplier to cost of goods that, you know, who's actually providing the raw materials, vendors, you can do that. So it's very easy. The legal page has some basic legal information and some opportunities to add some corporate documents, some IP, intellectual property documents, so whether it's trademarks or copyrights or anything like that. And then also employee information, so again, those contracts or handbooks. And then we've got the financials. So again, we've got the revenue, we've got our profit broken down, and then we've got the employee count. So your clients can actually go in and complete the business profile. They can print a single page, they can export the whole thing into an Excel file. It is up to them. So it's really nice, I think, with that information about the company and its products or services. And this down here, when you click on clients, you click on that bulk action button. So pick whichever client you want. And then under bulk actions, that's where you've got that download client information, data in Excel. To me, again, it's really all about the client creating the business profile supported by you. So I'm going to kind of show you some of the other online a little bit, but I wanted to see if there's any other questions at this point in time that you might have. Make sure I haven't frozen. Everybody's good? All good still, I hope? I'm hoping. All right, I'm going to pull this over here and share this. So Whoops, I did this on the wrong page. This page. That's not gets bigger. All right. So does anybody have any questions at this point in time? Anything in particular you want to see? So, because we do these webinars twice a day, and the group that was at 8:30 a.m. Central was asking me, what does it look like from the client's perspective? So I got some of those questions. So I'm just leaving it to see if you guys have some similar questions. I'm moving the computer. No questions. Do you guys need afternoon coffee? I'm not sure. We're all good. Okay. Everybody still here? Awake? Okay. All right. Okay, so if we can go in and pick one of our clients that we can actually look into. So I'll pick this client that I use as an example in the certification courses that I show, which is DeGarmo. So again, when I pick the client, it takes me straight into the contact information. Then I can go into their business information. And you can see, I can just go ahead. I can delete the things that I've put in, but my client, I cannot delete that. I can look into it. And I can actually, so I can kind of take a look at what they've done and say, add more info here. So I can actually edit, business description has been saved. So I can actually edit what client put in themselves. So I can make some comments on that. So as you're working with your clients, if you've got someone that you think really could be lender ready, investor ready, that you want to work through this could be their first homework assignment. That as they start working with you, you say, okay, you need to start working through this process and filling this out in section by section. And so fill out this and fill out this. And that could be how you work with your client right there. So you've got, again, market customers. So we've got corporate clients. We can add another segment if we want to, in terms of those other types of markets or customer segments. So there's a potential market, secondary geographic, as I mentioned. So you can add that in, or you can say, you know what, I really want the client to do this. And so ask the client to go ahead and put that information in. And so we can really quickly to see it, and the client can do this as well. Download that full business profile. You guys are very, very quiet today. And so we have our cover page. We've got some business descriptions. And you can see where I typed in right there, add more info here. So that kind of plugs in right there. And so information about values of the business, products and services, etc. So this is where you can work with your clients, professional service providers, and our revenue, our profits, and then our employee counts. So I think that this can be a great way to work with this with your clients, but also with, I think clients can use this very functionally in terms of being able to recruit, even internally, to recruit that key employee that they may want. Because a lot of times that can be very difficult for our clients to have that, to get those clients on board. So I'm just going to wait a second to see if anybody else has any questions, and then I'm going to give you some highlights of what's going to be coming up next. Go ahead and delete this. See if there's anything that comes up in chat. I still just have, pardon me? All good. All right. Rock on. So let's go ahead then, and I'll show you what else is coming up and some other versions of this. But actually, first, let's talk about a little bit with our clients, helping them to get ready through this process. So, a lot of times when our clients are struggling in different sections, of course, if they're having problems with thinking about, who are my competitors or who is my market, I would go right to the decision sheets. So what are the might help them. Maybe it's customer persona, and have them fill that out. Maybe it's looking at some of the options in terms of competitors, other market players, and how we rack up against them. So pull those out to help them, but don't forget about the articles. So they really do help to prepare your clients for those meetings with the lender. And I think also it can really help the client to see that it's not just you, the advisor, giving them this advice, but they're getting it from other perspectives. And again, the frameworks, right? So information package for the lender. So what did they expect to have? The other thing I really like to use is the 30, 60, 90 day that we were just looking at not too long ago. So, having those 30, 60, 90, who is that person who's in charge and what's the timeline? It is a merge of a to-do list and a Gantt chart. So we can take a look at that and see, as a project management tool to understand and communicate the sequence of events in a project for the client and whether they're doing is a realistic action plan. So if everything's urgent, needs to happen right now, the company could be too front-loaded, as in this example. And then, it could be that they're pushing everything off, but what are you going to do next week? So we do have that there. It's a great way to plan what's going to happen next as a client's moving forward towards finishing their business profile. And some of the things we want to talk about here would be, checking your credit report. So what would be some things that they could do to check their credit report? How much debt which should they apply? What are they going to be looking at? Have they read the loan application carefully, especially terms and penalties and things like that? Have they assembled all the documents for their lender? Tax returns, proof of intellectual property, titles for collateral, bank statements, things like that. Have they updated and, of course, reviewed their business profile on GrowthWheel Online? And have they practiced the pitch? So there's lots of things that we help our clients with. Credit scores, not a lot you can do in the short term except clean up errors, but helping them to understand what in terms of making sure that they are making all their payments on time and getting rid of as much debt as quickly as possible. They'll be surprised how quickly it can rise if they haven't gone bankrupt. No, if they've gone bankrupt, it's going to take a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm going to just check real quick again and before we get into sneak peeks. If there's anything else that you guys have any questions about, just want to make sure you are the widest group. All right. So then I'll go ahead and roll on. So we have about a little bit more than 15 minutes left. So let's look at some of the options and some of the things that are going to be coming out in future releases. So we all want it. Hooray, hooray. It's the balance sheet. So you're going to be able to have a balance sheet for the client. This one you'll see it has balance dated, the bottom left-hand corner, and you can add an asset, and anytime you do that, there's going to be something that shows up on the liability side. You'll notice there on the screen it says uncategorized liability 6,500 and it says calculated. So when you put money in, you have to account for it on the other side. It balances. Don't we all love that? You can add that information in. This is what it looks like once you've got everything put into it. So there's only so many categories in terms of those assets. You may have noticed that here where category. So loans receivable, inventory, property, equipment, deposits, prepaid expenses, immaterial property, and then there's always an other in terms of the assets. So you can always put something else in if there's something that's very unique for your client. But otherwise, kind of capture the overall, and you can see then for liabilities, we've got our accounts payable, loans payable, credit line, credit cards, mortgage, private loans, accruals, other, and then our equity. So what is our paid in equity into the business as well. Of course, we can print this as a PDF. So it would be part of the business profile, so we can have that. When you first start loading information in, it's just all grayed out. So you start adding those little assets and liabilities in. And it will tell your clients, hey, your data is going to be shared automatically. So data you add to the balance sheet will be immediately accessible to the people on your team. So again, it's not going to be down to the nitty gritty, but your clients just need to know that when they add people onto GrowthWheel Online, that any team members can see this information. All right, business financials. This is actually going to be a separate PDF to supplement the business profile. So the business profile is a profile of what the business, what's going on in the business right now. Where is it active right now? The business financials is going to include projections. I know, projections. We've all been waiting. Projections are coming. So this is going to be a financial document specifically for your client. You say it says business financials instead of the business profile. It's going to have 3 of the existing financial pages that we have already. I don't know if employees is really financial, but well, I mean, it is a financial burden for sure. Excuse me. So you're going to have that revenue, profit, and employee page. But in addition to that, we're going to have the revenue breakdown. So it's broken down per product. So what much is each revenue coming from each product or service? And then what about from each market or channel? So how are we doing in terms of those? Excuse me. We also will have our cost structure. So what are our direct cost of goods or services sold? And what's our overhead costs or operational costs? Again, you notice on here it shows rent, salaries. They're just big numbers. It's not going to be, this is Jane's salary. But your client needs to understand that anybody that they add into this, they're going to be able to see this information. So just want to make sure that they know that. Again, the balance sheet is coming. So it'll be part of the business profile. Also, we're going to have funds received. That is already under financials, but the graphs aren't there. But the numbers, you can add the number in at this point in time. So did you get a credit line? Did you get loans, investments, family loans, credit card? So what about in the last 5 quarters? What about in the last 3 years in terms of debt or funds received that the business has taken on? The other thing it's going to have would be break even in terms of an investment catalog. I really like this. So you have soft and hard investments. Soft investments, new sales manager. So you can see on here, it shows salary, and it's the same salary every year. Now, hopefully this guy's girl is going to make some money and get some salary increases. But we know we're going to have that base salary. We're going to have some office space. We need to have office space that's that person taking up software licenses. What are we paying to have that person on board, and any other costs? So we've got investment. So what's the revenue and how are we going to be making money? So are we actually going to make more money, or is it going to reduce costs in the business by bringing this person on? Is it going to free somebody else up and do other work, etc.? So then the other one that's below that would be actually equipment. So we have a coffee roasting machine example where we have a one-time expense for the machine, one-time expense for installation, some ongoing maintenance, and some ongoing other costs. Maybe that's utilities to use it. And then what is our specified return? Is it going to reduce costs again, or is it going to actually bring more money? So you can see that you've got 2 different break-evens that automatically does that with the accumulated cash flow then is that blue line that goes through. So I really like that. I think that's going to be really cool for our clients to be like, oh, yeah, as they spend money, what's the benefit? Why are we doing this? What's the benefit of it? I had a client one time, true story, that had this really expensive coffee service. And I was like, what? You're just, it's like, I want it. And I'm like, okay. And they were profitable. So it's going to be helpful for clients to kind of see like, oh, yes, this is just another expense that we can't afford. Okay. Here we have in forecasting. Yes, forecasting. So this one is per product, per quarter, and then per year. Products or services. So what do we expect that we're going to be selling, and what amount and what change? And so you can show some seasonality in terms of those products, services that you're going to be selling. And you can also look at it by market or customer segment. So what's the market or the customer segment? So for example, if you live like I do in a college town, it's like in the fall and throughout the school year, it's like, boom, we're, games on a Friday night. You're trying to go out to certain places, or a family weekend, or graduation, restaurants, and everything's really crazy busy. And then in the summer, it just dies down because there's not as many students that stick around. So you can kind of look at it from that perspective of what seasonality does your client have. Even if you don't think like, oh, the restaurant, it's not really that seasonable of a business, but most restaurants get much quieter in the summer because people are barbecuing and having people over and hosting at their own homes rather than going out to eat as much as they do in the wintertime. So examples like that. Another option we're going to have in there was going to be risk assessment. So here you can talk about what is the risk description, what type of risk is it, how likely is it, what are the consequences, and then on the right-hand side you'll see it says countermeasures. So here our high risk is a technology problem. So we could have interruption due to cyber attack, coding error, problems with server. And so what's the countermeasure? So what are we going to do in backup and other procedures that are going to minimize the effect of any interruptions versus what's our low risk? So your lenders, other investors, low risk. Okay, cool. They want to know about the high risk stuff. So that's what they're going to be looking at. And here, every business is risky. So now we're just sort of saying, yeah, we know every business is risky. We're just acknowledging it and how we can handle it. The other thing we have are financial ratios. So we've got everything from our liquidity ratios, our inventory turnover, profit ratios, gross margin, et cetera. And all of this will get calculated actually automatically from the other information that you've already put into the profile. So that's going to be awesome, I think, for our clients. Some other upcoming business profile pages coming out. So a couple of them that are coming out include having more of a long form for our profiles so we can give the lender a fuller picture of who's actually on the team. So each individual can have their bio, what are their top 5 responsibilities, let's talk about their education, their key skills, and what's their LinkedIn profile that they can actually connect into. So you can have a little more information about each person than is currently available to them. I like this one too. This is actually the value proposition. So what can we do? What is the value proposition that we have that we can offer to our customers, and how do we help them better? And then finally, we have business processes. So what are the key activities the business is doing, and the sub-processes and the person responsible. And actually, some of this one's actually for GrowthWheel. So you see certification, course delivery, underneath that project management, Elizabeth Benning, course delivery, Elizabeth Benning. So we're going to make sure that we have all of those, who's responsible for each one of those aspects of that. We're also going to be adding customer references. So when did this person become a customer of your client? Are they a current client, former client? And so they can actually show who they're working with. I had, my husband and I were doing some remodeling, and we worked with an architect, and the architect said that he had put a list together of like who his current clients were and what project they were working on to get line of credit for their business, because they were working on some big projects for some developers, and they don't pay as regularly. And so the banker, because it was in my town where I was a small business development center director, he was like, "Oh, the banker said to tell you hi." He's like, "We'll see." So I was like, "Oh, that's funny." So, so they, it's important for the lender to know like customers and who are you working with before they'll give you a line of credit sometimes. And then another example, business model canvas view. So it's just another way to look at the business profile, and another way that if you like to use the business model, it's another fun way to look at this as well. All right, some other things that we have coming out. Let's see. So we do have that markets and customer references page, a little bit more information about what that looks like. And that's what's going to look like as a former customer or active customer. And again, that page. Here's another option we have. I like this. Choose what's actually going to go onto the business profile. So you can see here that under that, as you go to download it, you can download section by section or download the whole thing. So right now, it's sort of either download everything or page by page. So here you can be able to choose from all available pages of what you actually want to print or not. So, so that's just kind of curious what you guys are using at this time, any experiences you have. Have you used the business profile with any clients? So I'd be on the call for a little bit. Obviously, 5 minutes left in our time together. So really, GrowthWheel, we're all about helping you be the business the best business advisor you can be. I think a GrowthWheel is a great framework. I mean, I've used it for a long time. Back when I started using GrowthWheel, it was just a library. You went and got decision sheets and articles and frameworks, and you sent them to your client. And I thought that was great back then. So I've only been on board with GrowthWheel for about, I started in June 2017. So I haven't been on that long, but I really have always liked this framework. So I heard somebody click in. So you can always contact me, Elizabeth, at growthwheel.com. You can go on to my calendar and schedule a coaching session if you like. It is up to you if you want to do that. So Kevin, thank you for keeping all business profiles updates, especially financial files and analysis. Yes. And one thing I want to comment on, so one question I got this morning was, when are all these updates coming out? And we sort of, if you're familiar with Agile software development, that's sort of how we do our development, is in that way. So like I said, in September, every single decision sheet has a video. That's what we did that month. October. This month is all about training programs. So that's what we're working on, is right in time for January, for either part of your curriculum, if you want to add it in there, or if you're going to be putting it in as part of a workshop series you're going to do in 2019. So you got some options there in terms of that's going to be they'll come out the week after Thanksgiving for those of you who are in the US. So that'll come out probably about the 28th or something, 29th. So that will come out. And then the OnTrack webinar for December is, guess what? It's going to be about training programs. And so how can you kind of make the most of your training programs and what you're doing? So we're going to go through some of that with that OnTrack webinar. And that is December 14th. Again, 2 different time zones. So you've got 9:30 a.m. Eastern, or you've got 2:30 p.m. Eastern in the US. So I know that we have we had people from the UK on with us this morning, so it's always fun. All right. Hey, Para, great presentation. Looking forward to the value proposition page. No, I think that's going to be really helping our clients to think through that. I mean, again, we have those decision sheets. So, but I think it'd be good to actually have that and have that visual and just like, okay, plug your stuff in. You only get so many characters, so be pithy, be concise. That's what our bankers and investors want anyway. They don't want to read some super long book. We just want it to be really short, and so we keep their attention and can get that, hopefully get what we need from our clients, right? I mean, from our funders and everybody else. So, all right. All right, is there any other questions at this point in time? Anything else you guys want to see? Quiet. All right, so I see someone's typing. I can't see who, but we'll hold on for a second. Fine for now. Check out now. Cheers to you as well, everybody. We've had a big snowstorm coming in, so I just got like severe weather report for coming in tonight. So I hope everybody else is in warmer places than me. So anyway, until December 14th, join us for that one. That'll be a brand new one. We haven't done that OnTrack before. And actually, I'll be doing that one in Texas. So I'll be somewhere warmer. So hopefully everybody else will be somewhere cozy and warm as well. So someone else is typing. All right, see you again. Thanks, Kevin. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. And hopefully I'll see you next month, all right? Bye.